And there's the.
Still fighting that. Still messing with it, or? Okay, 6:30, we'll go ahead and get this meeting started. Got the meeting minutes from July 8th. Questions for Katie? Anything? Pretty good? Okay. Any visitors who would like to address the council this evening? Okay. It's like Ron Bedward turned the town's teal.
I'm going to speak on his behalf. He was supposed to be here, he could not be.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that to my attention. As you know, Ron and Nella Bedward have a daughter named Shaylee, who died as a result of ovarian cancer. And in years past, we have turned the town, during the month of September, we turned the town of Wakarusa teal with their standards. Procedure is to put out yard signs and then purple lavender ribbons to tie around trees for the month of September. And he's just wanted to, again, request permission to do that here in the town of Wakarusa. This is where he grew up. Folks live on the street. I'm sure most of you know Ron. If you don't, he's incredible. Incredible family, incredible young lady. And there's already evidence of how this particular movement is saving lives, and we'd like to continue that effort in the town of Wakarusa. So, for the month of September.
Okay. All right, thank you, Rob.
Yes.
Katie.
We've got James brought in here from Employee Benefit Solutions to talk about our employee insurance options.
I've got some papers for everyone, sorry we didn't have these ahead of time. This is to go over the Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield medical insurance renewal, which takes effect on October 1st.
Oh, can I have one of those? Please, thank you.
Where I actually want to start is just this one piece of paper here. looks like everyone's got one. So the preliminary offer from Anthem for the next 12-month period, which again begins on October 1st, is a 9% increase versus your current costs. This piece of paper has a breakdown on the different components of the level funded insurance arrangement with Anthem and how each of those costs is being allocated. You can see that there's a somewhat minor increase in the admin fee that Anthem charges, and then in the two types of stop loss insurance, the specific and the aggregate. Those are both coming in right around 5% increase for 2025. And then you've got the terminal liability is also, fairly moderate, and that's the lowest cost portion of this plan. And then the claims fund, which is where money is put into as you guys are paying your monthly premiums, and then that's the first thing that pays out when someone has a claim. Their deductible is applied to their plan, and then if there's anything left for the plan to pay, it's coming out of the claims fund first. And you can see that that's sort of, it comes out to a little under 40% of the cost of the plan in most years, and a big part of the increase is going towards that claims fund. That's essentially Anthem saying that there's not quite been enough funding in the claims fund for a normal year, now that we've got 2.5 years of experience with this particular arrangement. And so they're asking for an increase to go into that fund. I'll remind you guys that that is the portion that is also eligible for a refund if you have a good claims year. And there's actually, I did not bring a report on that, but you guys are running a surplus in this plan year right now. If the plan year were to end today, you'd be getting a refund of about $6,000 for the year. So as we think about this 9% increase overall, I do want you guys to keep in mind that a significant part of that is going into the claims fund. So it's not just Anthem pocketing money here, and that's the part that you're also eligible for a refund out of. That having been said, we are talking about an increase for the year of, I want to say about $24,000 total. And I'm not real pleased with that offer from Anthem initially because of what we'll look at next, which is in this second little packet here from Anthem. This is claims reporting that's available to Anthem groups on this type of level funded arrangement. And we're getting to the point now, again, with 2.5 years of claims experience being in this arrangement with Anthem, where we've got some data to actually work with. One little thing about this report, you can see in the top left-hand side, under Town of Wakarusa, it says current June 24 to June 25, prior July to June, prior to July to June. And so this particular report is looking at a sort of rolling 12-month, not looking at your specific plan year, which runs October through September. Keep that in mind because that first prior period where you see the 37,000 prior year total spend, that's on an abbreviated plan year. So it's not actually good data, and it won't be for another at least 6 months. But those second two circles here at the top where it's showing your total spend of 88,000 and then 87,000, that's looking at the last 24 months. Money that's actually been paid out of your plan, most of that having come out of your claims fund, some of that actually being paid by the insurance from Anthem. But that's some useful information for you guys to consider as you think about the overall amount of premium that you're spending on the plan, that the last 24-month period, 88,000 has been spent out each of the last 12 months. Going over to the next page, and I won't go through all of these pages. We can, you guys can look them over and ask some additional questions if you like, but I highlighted there the medical summary, and this is looking at by relationship and sort of splitting out your plan costs for each type of individual that's on your plan. And you can see that those are skewed somewhat heavily towards dependents on the plan rather than employees, which is typical. We see that in other groups, particularly in groups where you guys have very heavy dependent participation. So this is somewhat normal, but it does just show you that, probably 75% of the actual claims dollars being spent out were for dependents. That is a little bit of an outlier, is why I highlighted it. Going on to the third page. I wanted to call some attention to the paid claims distribution. This is showing you guys that for $0 to $99, $100 to $249, $250 to $499. That is for the previous 12 months. And you've got 35 of the belly buttons on the plan out of 52 total, okay, have had less than $499 in paid medical claims over the last 12-month period. Again, that running, as it says at the top, from July of last year to June of this year. So that's actually pretty fresh data. And then in orange, I have highlighted that there's one claimant in that $50,000 to $75,000 range. And that's pretty typical. One person had an episode in a facility and it cost some money. I thought that information, part of why I highlighted that for you guys was as you're thinking about those HSA contributions that the town is making towards the employees' accounts, that gives us a little bit of a window into, is that money being held in the HSAs like we kind of intended, or is it being spent back out on the deductible? And since it's relatively low claims, that would tell us that it's ending up in the HSAs, which is a good thing. On this fourth page, just one thing highlighted here. This is really just showing you in the last 12 months the percentage of claims paid split between medical versus pharmacy claims. This kind of has to do with group size and that you've only got 16 employees on the plan and 52 belly buttons. But this is a little bit of an unusual split where you've got 90% of the claims dollars being spent on medical, not on pharmacy. We're seeing pharmacy be a bigger and bigger part of claims spend overall. And if I was kind of worried that number skews a little too low, it would be like, hey, the prescription cost is very low and we can't get used to that because it doesn't seem like it would last. I do want to then, on the fifth page, up at the top right-hand corner, it says 36 months membership and claims by month. And again, we don't have 36 months worth of data for your group yet, but we're getting close. Down there at the bottom, I've highlighted, this is just Anthem looking at spend by quarter. And for that entire period, they're showing when this plan started for you guys in October of 2022 through June of 2025, 2.5 years, the total amount, total claims, medical and pharmacy combined is $224,000. So that's the plan paid amount, both the amount that has come out of the claims fund and then that Anthem has paid as part of the stop loss insurance arrangement. So, I'm going to skip the next page that says 99.9% in the top left. That's just the percentage of claims that have happened in network. That's normal because Anthem has a very good network. But the last page says claim amount and plan savings in the top right corner. I just wanted to show you the last 12-month period. Charges submitted for the group for the 52 people on the plan was $419,000. You guys can see how that is split down into stuff that wasn't actually covered that had been billed for, things that were covered and then got discounted by Anthem's in-network pricing. So there's a lot of value being delivered there. That's, I want to say 40% discount on the average claim versus the bill amount versus what Anthem is actually paying in-network. So that gets you to that $146,000 for the allowed amount. And then the deductible part, this is actually the reason. So if you guys want to circle something on this page, the deductible is $44,000. And so that's telling you what did your staff have to pay out in deductible expenses in the last 12 months. Okay. And that's an important consideration for everyone else, just for context, because we went, when we switched to this plan with Anthem, from a $0 deductible to a $3,000 deductible. And we knew that there was going to be an increase in people's deductible expenses as a result. We're just putting a data point on what that has been in the last 12 months. So there's a lot of figures there to digest, I understand. My summary of all that we just looked through on the claims report is that you guys are running really low utilization and low spend. Anthem has another report, and I intentionally didn't put it in here because I think it's a little confusing, but if you look at that 419,000 bill, there's an 88,000 that was spent by the plan for 52 belly buttons. Like, that's a very low average. Anthem's data, their national data set says that the per member per month average is like $450 to $500, and it depends on plan design, demographics, and things. You guys are running like under 200. So a couple of things we could draw from that is, one, we're really healthy right now, or at least we're low utilization. And that should then mean we're getting decent increases from our incumbent carrier. But we had a 9% increase, right? So part of why I wanted to come to the work session and kind of get some feedback from you guys is think about that I put all together there, and tell me what you guys feel like is fair, so that when I go back to Anthem and say, you know, this is our target, where we think that we need to be, I'd ask some feedback from all of you. I think that the rates, and I said this at last year's renewal, I thought that last year's rates were fair. I feel like we've gotten into the territory where it's not as good as Anthem can do. Okay, so then as we go out to the rest of the market though, because I need a little bit of ammunition to go to Anthem and say we need a better offer. We do have the claims data to support what I'm asking for, but I've run it to 5 carriers already, and we've either gotten a we can't beat Anthem or basically a decline. So part of that is the way that these plans are priced these days is that we're not going off of medical questionnaires anymore. I think I shared with you guys before that we just give them a census, which is the name, date of birth, sex, home zip code of the people on the plan. And then the carriers are pulling claims information off of that, trying to build a picture and a risk profile for the group, and pricing the insurance based off of this data that they can pull out of the cloud. And based off of that information is where we're getting we can't do better than Anthem's rate, or we don't like the risk, so we're out. Which, doesn't give us a lot to negotiate and leverage. But I'm bringing that up to say that you guys do still have the option. It hasn't been done in a couple of years of using FormFire and having the staff and their dependents fill out the medical questionnaires, which is a somewhat intense process because they ask 101 medical questions, and you got to put all that information in online. But that would give us a different set of data to present to carriers and say, despite what you're maybe pulling out of the cloud, and maybe that's not accurate, here's what the employees say themselves about what their health history has looked like. And then we can go back to these same carriers and ask for them to reconsider. I will point out that Physicians Health Plan, which you guys were with in 2021, and you decided to switch, is one of those carriers that just said they can't be right now. So.
How does that 9% increase stack up against other ones that you're seeing around the same time?
It's been about average for small group for both the big carriers, Anthem and United Healthcare. That's about what they're coming out with for the other two. If it's a high-risk group that's having a bad year, it's been more like 20%. The really good groups were getting 3%. As you guys are looking at the big spreadsheet, the reason that I have this one done is to go back to where we were looking at our renewal in 2022. That was the year we decided to make this switch, move over to Anthem, move over to the HSAs, and sort of looking at if we had today's enrollment, because this spreadsheet I've updated to reflect how the enrollment has changed in 3 years. You guys have grown a little bit. If we were still paying the rates in 2022, we'd be at $351,000 for a year. And then this column number 5, it's got the yellow highlighting saying the renewal with Anthem's initial offer with the $3,300 deductible plus the health savings account contributions that help offset that increase out of pocket for the employees. That's all totaled up here down at the very bottom in orange saying, okay, it would be 351. We've now crossed into 357,000 for the year. So just a smidge over where our 2022 rates.
Okay. You have any questions for James? You're good. 9% is not horrible. I'd be a lot happier if 6.
I feel like Anthem knows that they need to come down a little bit. I just didn't get the ammunition I needed from the competition. I do still have 2 quotes out pending, hoping one of those comes through. Trustmark, we quoted in 2022. They were close to Anthem. I'm hoping that they make a competitive offer, but I actually looked back at that quote, and even if they gave us, again, that 2022 price, it was $550 for the employee rate. And I think we can get back there with Anthem just by asking and saying, look at the data, you know. So I don't think that a change is likely, but I do think they'll come down to that 9%. Just wanted to talk to you guys and see if that's, you know, that 5-6 range is going to be okay.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah.
That's where I'd like to see it. Ask for 4, maybe they'll give us 5.
I'm gonna ask for 0, right?
Yeah,
I don't think I get it, but I will ask.
Okay. Any questions for James?
I do not. Thank you.
I know that's a
That's a lot
ton of
of
info, and I
it
just
is.
did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you have questions later on. No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, James. All right, Katie, looks like we've got authorization sheet for me to sign for the SRF loan program.
Just designate the person to filter the information and documents to SRF for our water fund.
Okay. It's pretty straightforward there.
Next, we have a refiling payout number 2 for our road work improvement project that is finished. Up.
15,568.13.
Any questions on this one?
Questions on that, Pam? Okay.
Next, we have ordinance 2025-7, the salary ordinance amendment for our crossing guard positions.
Guess while we're talking about that, just go ahead and jump into it. Anything else so far?
So we do have 2.
Okay.
We are committed, which is a very good thing. So they're committed to 180 days. Have received another application from a young lady. She's 17, will be 18 until February of next year. There's a process that we'll have to go through a little bit. She's already known that we'll use her as a sub, and I'm gonna need substitutes and have a potential with another young lady. She has a lot of self-paperwork that she has to complete, such as getting IDs and bank accounts and things like that. That she too has been told, hey, you'd be used as a sub. Again, they all say, hey, 180 days, I'm in. There's always that potential where somebody gets sick. One of the ladies, and I'm gonna ask them. We're having our first meeting and training tomorrow. I'm gonna ask to see if they would be willing to come tomorrow night, where you can meet Charlotte Stampede and Bobby Joe. Very, very, very excited about these 2 ladies, and even the substitutes. I'm excited about them too. So. Last month, it was the big mill that Tim Hirschberger showing frustrations and things like that. So they must have heard. But, yeah. So,
What time are you meeting with them tomorrow?
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
Okay.
On the rules draft, there's a couple other pay items for 2026, but we can wait and approve those along with the budget the next couple months. But those are just there for your reviews of this month.
Okay.
And then for the mural, we met with the owner of the building we're wanting to put it on, and the building's not gonna be quite ready, so we're gonna hold off and revisit that next year. We'll put together some ideas, and we'll have some in writing tomorrow, but we're open for conversation, next steps is where we can do something this year, that it might look a little bit different than what we originally planned.
Okay. Anything else, Katie?
That's it.
All right, let's move on to engineering.
I'm Austin Lomke with JPR. I'm here to talk about the, uh, the comprehensive plan strategy. We have, okay. Apologize, should print it off more. I can pass this around if you all want to take a look at it.
Was this what was brought up, was it last month or 2 months ago?
We talked about it last month, and this is a refinement of that. So last month, we talked about how there's a lot of great work that was done with the NACOG comprehensive plan. And I think we discussed coming back and developing a scope that was refined and more of an action-oriented plan. So the NACOG plan was very diagrammatic. This proposal here lays out a scope that is more implementable. So it gives you a strategy for how do we make these proposed improvements. Last month, we talked about part of this effort should include a market study. So that is laid out in that RFP. JPR ourselves are not conducting a market study, but our scope is to help draft that RFP, help find the consultant, and then work with that consultant so that we can take the findings of that study and pull it into the action plan, so that the two are cohesive and fit together. So as part of that action plan, it's the market study, and then we have 3 other scopes. The first being inventory and analysis, taking stock of kind of the existing downtown, what your streetscape elements are, what you're working with as far as sidewalk, right-of-way, zoning requirements, as well as vehicular and pedestrian circulation, looking at your parking analysis. Parking is always an issue for all communities, but seeing what's working well, what's not working, and then working with the findings of that market study to pull that into the next phase of schematic master planning. So developing up to 2 master plans for the downtown, but not just focusing on the downtown, but also looking at the community as a whole. So we can look at gateways into the community, looking at open space, use of your town, looking at elements like a bike trail connection, how are people getting to these amenities and these proposed improvements. We would not focus a lot on stakeholder engagement with the community, because a lot of that was done in the NACOG study just a few years ago. So any stakeholder engagement that we did have, it would be to kind of validate some of our findings from the market study, or kind of fill that gap where they weren't in there in the NACOG study. After that, the last phase that we have laid out there is going into the final conceptual master planning. That's where we would take the feedback that we received from the steering committee, refine that into one concept, produce some cost estimates, look at how do we phase these proposed improvements. So we could look at 1 year, 3 year, 5, or even longer years, so that we can begin to identify how we strategically tackle these proposed improvements, so that this doesn't become just another plan that sits on the shelf, that you can actually take it and fundraise and begin to make some of these improvements. All together, the proposed scope and fee comes out to about $50,000. Could answer any questions on that. Sorry for not having more copies.
Ken, I'm not put you on the spot. What year did we do that downtown streets?
Oh, wow.
Gosh, I'm
Six or
still
seven.
driving.
2006
or something.
Yeah, 2006.
meeting.
Yeah. And that was significantly funded by Oprah grant to the town, I remember. The money came, the town matched it, I think it was an 80-20, 80%, 20% of the town. So Oprah still has funds available. They've kind of pulled back from downtown, outfits, and they're more kind of gearing towards, kind of more towards comprehensive planning and everything. That way they can spread their, what limited funding they have. And it does take, probably one thing that would be different from today as opposed to 2005, 2006 is that likely is not that the community was easier to qualify from an income standpoint that would be today. I'm not the demographic expert, but it's probably true. But it doesn't hurt us to ask and talk about the potential thing. But of course, one of the things that Austin and the planning guys will pull together is when they're working through that comprehensive plan, one of our obligations is try to figure out, okay, where does this money come from? Where does the funding come from? And so we always have an implementation strategy within that document, that talks about potential for funding. And be as creative as possible, spread the loan around, so to speak. But it's a tough thing to do. The one thing that impresses me that I must have heard you say this before is that I don't think I can say enough about doing your homework relative to the planning stuff, which is really of critical importance because you'll be able to discover what budgets are going to be allocated to what, amenity or improvement that would be needed to realize your dream. But also the market analysis. I am continuously amazed by the results of those market analysis, the predictions that are made based on, and I don't know what voodoo it is that they bring, but they seem to always be really close to right. I think when I first, when someone first said, yeah, we need a market study, we gotta get this guy, he's an expert, I'm like, yeah, whatever. But how does that actually play out in the end? Well, I can't speak from as much experience as Austin and the guys from our planning department, but projects that I have been fully engaged in. The one that I really use as a good example is downtown Elkhart in the River District. I personally was involved in leading that planning group. The concept of bringing the market study expert in was, really the first time I've really experienced what they said and how it delivered. And things as important as, like, they predicted, if you develop a residential product in this way, you will have an influx of residents that move into that area that will be of this age, this mingling of ages, this mingling of incomes, and you will fill every apartment that you have available. And we go back and look at that data now and look at how it actually played out. I mean, it's spot on. Yeah, and to me, I was like kind of shocked about how close it is. The other thing that they told us was things like, well, Mark, Elkhart already had an exodus of retail to the periphery. Don't worry about retail, concentrate on office. And historically, downtown Elkhart hasn't been, all that attractive to office. That's changed. Almost exactly what they predicted. And so that whole thing, along with the comprehensive plan and the market analysis put together, it seems to really be generating, that formula seems to be generating success. And probably more important for small towns like Wakarusa, where you're in battling competition with everybody to attract people downtown. So, that's just my bare bones assessment of some of those techniques that are used for planning that, I don't fully understand personally, but I want to get done, and it seems to work, so.
Yeah, I would second that. Having a market study, it gives you kind of a foundation for validation of decisions that are made. Like, why are we proposing to have a restaurant moving here, or why are we having, this type of housing downtown? Well, this data says, Wakarusa can support it. So that it really strengthens the plan effort overall.
So shifting over to me here, you're needing some time to think about this, right? You're not making this decision tomorrow night, so.
Katie, we did the MACOG again, what year?
2020, 2021.
I think it's 2020.
Okay, and we spent how much doing that? Was it around 100,000?
I want to say it's less than that.
Close to that.
We'll have to look up those numbers again.
I know it was a lengthy process. We came out with some good ideas, but carrying them out, finding funding to do that, is all about
Yeah.
implementing them.
Definitely.
I'm hesitant to do another study and then sit here and go, you know what I mean?
Totally understand that, and I think what we're trying to propose is to not restart from ground level, but take what was already developed, use that as kind of the foundation and build upon that. So where we can use the information that is already there, we'll take that and run with it. But then when there's something that's missing, or could be explored a little bit more, that's where we'll go back deeper.
Can you give us people's names? That are willing to do this or want to start a restaurant?
That's the biggest thing, right? Because
It
every one of
is.
us can
That's what
walk
we
out here
struggle with.
and stand right underneath the stoplight and look up and down every street and go, we need more here.
Yeah,
But
all those things.
I've not found the button to make this place bigger yet.
Yeah,
Well,
Without tearing down houses.
one
And
of
I've
the
not
things-
found the button that makes the people that own these buildings
want to do it.
have any motivation to want to do it.
So, one of the things, we work with, and we are working with multiple communities at the same time, and everybody's at a different stage, We are in the really, early dialogue stage with the city of Butler, for instance. And they have a new mayor, it's in his first term. He was a Napa Auto Parts store and an auto body guy before he became mayor. So he's pretty nuts and bolts, down to earth. And we were over there touring downtown, and he's in worse shape than Wakarusa, where he only had one restaurant and they don't stay open until after 3 or 4. So they have nothing going on in downtown Wakarusa. And after 5 o'clock, it's a ghost town. And he sees that as a big problem and recognizes it as one of his key goals. And so I was over there meeting with him one day, and they showed us a building that the town had purchased, and we were walking, and he said, "Yep, I got a guy out of Lansing, wants to come to town, put a brew pub in there, and a eatery, and he's gonna take up the whole building. Pretty much wants it for free, and so on and so forth." I said, "Well, that's not a bad idea." But I warned him, don't jump on the first good idea that comes to town, because you don't know who this guy is. And don't do it before, at a minimum, you decide whether the town can actually support it. The only way you can get there is to get a guy that is specialized in doing this market analysis that provides a basis for the downtown master plan. Because the last thing you want to do is have, somebody come in, use up whatever available resources the city has to help support this project and then have it fail. And restaurants, as you know, are not. I mean, you have some good steady stock here in Wakarusa that's, always been there. And, but new restaurants are always a big struggle. So he agreed to put the brakes on that, and we have a similar activity going on with him right now, where we're working on pre-planning, deciding how much planning he can afford to do and what it needs to consist of, which is probably one of the first things that we have to study. And he's right there on the Ohio line, and north of Auburn, which is, man, talk about competition. That's tough. So, I don't think you can be too careful. All the study that you can reasonably afford is probably proven. Because it kind of puts you in the best situation where, everybody that comes to town is going to want something from you.
Right.
They're going to ask you for a set off or something, whether it's a tax phase in or TIF reimbursement or otherwise, and even those have to be completely vetted. For the trade. But this town has got a lot going for it. Of all the towns in Elkhart County that my wife has agreed to move to, she said, I'd move to Wakarusa. Well, good luck finding a house. There's like none. So, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. In a way, so.
Okay.
Anyway, we have been working on a wastewater treatment facility master plan for your facility out here, and engineers have met with Alex and Rob, and they've discussed the preliminary findings. That's going back to finalize that report. So it'll probably come to the council in September as a complete PIR. Normally, what that means is there'll be a fairly comprehensive suggestion on things that will help extend the longevity of the facility, help it perform better, take care of some of the more recent issues that happened out there, and then that'll come with budget estimates and potentially some suggestions on how those things might be funded. So probably we've been working on it for a couple months, so we should have that final ready for your first look in September. So water system PIR, you've been hearing from your director of works that there's no weaknesses in the water plant. That's not the issue. It's kind of more in the distribution system and how the distribution system operates with two towers in the water plant. And so we have completed some preliminary modeling at the direction of Alex, and we're going to mop that up and deliver a PIR on that here, probably again potentially for your council session in September. And so that's going along pretty good. And we've also been asked by the town staff to assist with the permit renewal for a wastewater facility. That's something that we routinely help our communities with. And that's not really difficult. As a matter of fact, probably when we're done with that, the current staff will know how to do that themselves next time around. So the Wernz Ditch issue kind of got brought to the town, through the drainage department, drainage board at the county. If you've heard much about that, the culvert going under Waterford Street here is in pretty bad shape, and to the extent that it has outlived its lifespan, and it needs to be replaced for multiple reasons. It's a corrugated metal and won't last forever, and it hasn't. I mean, it's done its job. So we had our structural guy come down. We met with Rob and Alex and the county surveying surveyors to talk about it. We were there, Carl was there helping us out, and we wanted to look hard at the potential for relining the existing, for lining the existing structure. This would be a structural lining, not just, just a spray on. This would be a structural lining, which really simplifies the construction to the extent that, we wouldn't necessarily, we probably will have some road closures just because we'll have equipment sitting around and stuff like that. But it wouldn't be in a scenario where the whole cover would have to come out and be replaced. And so a lot less impact. And we do have a pretty good estimate from the liner company. We would have to work with legal to talk about how we would procure. And we would, there's not a whole lot of, vendors out there that can provide this product. So it's likely that we will be trying to do a sole source procurement, and we've done this before on other projects, and we'll work with you and show you how we've done that in the past. And then my understanding at this point in time is this will be a joint project between the town and the county drainage board. So the county drainage board is, now that they have the cost estimate that we received from the provider, they will now be able to kind of determine how that cost share will happen. So it doesn't look like, we were hoping that we could somehow, and it looks like we will still have to deal with a floodway permit, even though we're working in the same floodway, just, kind of sliding a liner through the structure. It does still look like they're gonna require us to have a permit to do that, so that'll take a little bit of time to prepare. So JPR would be in a good position to help put the design documents and contract documents together, working with your legal counsel and county, and then help to see the project through to completion. So this isn't something that the county has done a lot of, so this might be something that the county can use in other places and can show how it works well here in our region. But looks like we can find a way to do this without closing the street for months on end. So that's a good part of it. So
this is the ditch that runs under Waterford, right? From
Yes,
Indiana?
He said Waterford.
I said,
It's actually
Oh,
Elkhart.
okay.
yeah, I'm sorry. I said,
Because it goes
realized
under
that
the
was wrong
street
too,
at
but
my
yeah.
house.
It's right over here.
Or it goes under
Although,
Waterford.
if you look, there's some cones here on the north side of
Yes.
Waterford, and it's got its own issues, so,
Oh, at Waterford.
at Waterford,
Yeah.
so.
Lovely.
So, yeah. Sorry, like I said, I go on street there.
But-
I mean, they just tore that up this summer.
So, anyway, more to come on that. And we'll report back as, it's gonna take a while, it's got to go to the drainage board, that kind of stuff. So, we have been asked to engage on your community crossings program, and we'll be working with the town on planning street projects going forward. And we do a lot of that work for other communities, and so no mystery there, so we can help you get through that. So other than that, I don't have anything further unless you have questions for me. No hard decisions that need to be made.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
It looks like along with that, our Yoder pay app number 9 for the water treatment plant, $404,283.46.
Those are under my folder in the Google Drive.
Walls are going up, moving right along. Alex has a video he's putting together, drone footage.
Can we try to find out?
It's in this folder.
It's in this folder, I see.
Yep.
Got the inside and outside.
It's pretty cool.
Where do you put it? In this one? Public Works?
Sorry,
One water plant exterior.
there it is. To the right.
That pilot looks like about a half-size pilot.
Coming along nice, it's looking good.
We can have Connor from DLC to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions on pay app number 9? Okay, well, that brings us to pay app number 11, DLZ, their share of the water treatment plant. This is 6/28 through 7/25, $46,781.25. And then one more pay app number 12 for the Keystone lift station. This should just be about clearing this up, getting pretty close. They just gotta get back on site and finish up.
Yeah, hopefully in the next couple months.
Yeah, it should be looking to remobilize here, later September. We'll be meeting next week, I think, to kind of rehash, what work's left, so you get that online. But
Okay.
tentatively the end of October, 1st of November to get that online.
Yeah. Pay app number 12 is $856.25. Everybody up to speed there? Good. All right. That clears out the engineering folder. Tim, you're up.
So that you were kind of inquiring, I think it would really be insightful to have your perspective as a bus driver, especially when we go on site tomorrow.
Right,
Kind of
that's
train them, educate them a little bit about rules 1 through 3. Those are
Right.
pretty simple.
I
to get
agree with
in.
that. I'm not available tomorrow.
Oh, you're not? Okay.
No, I'll be out of town, but, when I met with Amy, she was talking about that, like, especially down here at Washington, like, in the afternoon, letting buses out, holding traffic back so that we can make the turn.
Yeah.
Knowing that we make town routes, and then come back again, and then go back out again, and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, when
And some of it'll just be,
we're usually
Yeah, so far.
stationed there, for the ones that go and do the town routes, we let them go out. We don't stop traffic. There's like 4 to 6 buses that go out.
'Cause we're
They-
sporadic.
Then they come back in. It's when they leave the middle school, when they get stacked up. That's still gonna Phil, do you know if Pastor Knight's back for vacation yet?
Yes,
Yeah. I wanna reach out to him and talk to him about the parking lot ideas that we have and, see what he says, and then ultimately, if he is in agreement with it, close the parking lots down, then I know that the burden is gonna fall upon us to get the cars out of there. I don't want to create a nightmare for, the parents dropping their kids off. But it's just like I was talking to James this morning, it's just about safety, just about safety of kids, safety of people and things. So there's a lot of things spinning in my head right now. No wonder I can't sleep at night, but,
Yeah, I was thinking about just making them aware of what we're traffic
yeah,
back.
no, they've already been told. My guess is that they may want to flip flop occasionally, just to get different perspectives of the different areas. So,
I don't know if you wanna, push something out at registration next week
James
for
is
Lockheed.
on doing that.
Okay.
They said push it out.
Right.
So,
Back to the parking lot thing.
I wonder if it'd help to have a person present, like a physical person there, at registration, I don't know. I mean, each one of us represent a different area there at registration for parents to talk to.
I'm sorry.
So we have like a transportation table that people come up and, ask questions about bus transportation, things like that. I don't know if it would be,
Official for us to be there.
yeah, to,
Never been invited.
right,
Never thought about it. So,
I mean, I'm just thoughts are going through.
yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. I think it would be a good thing, whether it be James or me or whomever. I know James is busy with other things. but
Right,
I'd be open for it.
well, let's talk about it.
So anyway, that's planned. Would you object if I were able to talk to them tomorrow night to introduce you to everybody? That'd be good.
Okay, anything else, Tim?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alex is not here tonight.
He did want me to mention some things. As you know, he had to leave on very short notice to accompany his grandfather on a trip to Fort Lee to the hospital. I have not heard anything about his status, his grandfather's status. He did tell me over the phone that they were suspicious or worried that he was in the process of having a stroke or about to have a stroke or something that caused him great concern. He's very close to his grandfather, and so we might want to keep him in our thoughts and prayers. I haven't heard anything. I don't know if any of you have since he left this morning. He did want me to bring up a couple of things. One, Ken already mentioned, that's a community crossing grant, and the prep work and upcoming application we're going to make for that. So thank you for that. He also wanted me to mention, he sent an email where he requested consideration for an additional employee to help with some of the increased ongoing maintenance issues regarding some of our infrastructure, particularly things that are going to be taking place out at the lagoons, things that will simply require some extra hands on deck. Before that, I think everybody received that email. He just wanted me to mention that to you, and my hope and prayer is that he'll actually be here tomorrow. But I'm going to reach out to him afterwards just to see how he's doing and where he's at with all of that. But just to remind you that that request is something he feels very strongly about. And I've sat in the update meetings with JPR, and I can honestly say I see the need for us to bring someone on, especially as we enter this transitional period between now and pending retirees and so on and so forth. So anyway, he's concerned about that. Any questions on any of that? Okay.
My thoughts on that, it'd be a huge benefit to us.
It would
It'd
be
be very beneficial to us.
And I know he's concerned, and I know he's mentioned some things to perhaps many of you personally, but he wants to do a great job, and I can honestly say that daily, I'm impressed with the knowledge he brings to the table. And his, although I have a son his age, Some perspective. Highly gifted, I'm gonna call him a young man, I could use that. Highly gifted young man, knows what he's doing. And we did well, I think, with him. So anyways, that's it for you, unless there's questions.
Just keep on rolling, right on into your folder.
Okay, board and trash contract, we will have something to sign tomorrow.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm gonna dance and jig in the street. Watering system update, that is probably going to be completed next week. Evidently, the tank and pump that Weaver Ag ordered is in, and we'll have the opportunity to rig that up. So, what are we calling it? Yes,
SH2O.
the SSH2O is, at least that's what we're calling it right now. That should be completed sometime next week. Then things for consideration. Katie brought this up last week, or I'm sorry, not last week, last month. You guys asked for something more solid in terms of a proposal. So here's some ideas regarding, there's a couple things, but that's regarding the sitting area that we are proposing. We think would be a great idea for next to the quote garden. You see kind of a rendering as to what that could look like. Those are just some ideas that are out there. But we're wanting to improve that area. We believe that it's strategic. It's a strategic area of the downtown area where we could bring some changes that would be a great addition to our downtown. Sitting area where people can actually gather and connect. They can sit down and have a cup of coffee as they're out walking or visiting downtown with family or friends, whatever the case happens to be. We're proposing a bench or a sitting area that will contain picnic tables and benches. Will be well lit with string lights. We would concrete the area. And I'll let you, these are for your benefit, so you can hang on to these and look these over on the back. We did come up with some costs as to what something like this would run. Actually installing a concrete slab strategically around the quote garden area, they can look very, very nice. 5 concrete picnic tables. We could also look at steel, but the concrete is, at least the research that I've done shows it being fairly comparably priced. I think you have a lot more design options with concrete. 4 benches, and you see approximate cost there. They went from, I'm on the back now. So you see their approximate cost ranges from low to high. Poles, string lights, approximate electrical labor from either a Moyer or Schwartz. And there's some general construction labor, but nothing too terribly difficult for this to be accomplished. And then you see the total cost is around $41,000 to $57,000 given the industry. Concrete is estimated at, you see the estimations there, so depending on where that happens to come in, that'd be our single largest ticket item for that area moving forward. Very close to the downtown park with our public bathrooms, which in my opinion would be a great opportunity for us to spruce those up as well. We're falling into some disrepair, which could stand some fresh paint, maybe some repairs, maybe some updates in terms of amenities that they offer inside. You can put vending machine inside that after, but something to do. Tim, have we had any more issues with vandalism down there? Is Tim with me? Have we had any more issues with
I'm sorry.
park vandalism?
Since we found the culprit.
Yes. We have indeed.
And they're open and
Yes, it is. Right.
Yeah, so anyway, any questions on that? Obviously, give you time to look it over and it can become.
We have reached out to the CED, the
Yes.
Community Visitors Bureau.
Yes, the big thing is, this is exactly what they're looking for in terms of grant opportunity. They want to jump on a project like this because it's promoting community and connectivity. And
Learn to
the quilt garden tour, it would help promote that for all of Elkhart County as well. So they like the strategic plan regarding that particular area, because they think it could help that entire program. But they're very willing to talk about funding opportunities for that as well. They like that idea. So.
Okay.
Okay, we've also reached out to, there's a number of downtown businesses that are wanting to take advantage, not as many as we would like to see, but they're taking advantage of our facade program, which I think is a great program. One of the things that I think would make sense would be for us to take advantage of it ourselves. I think the last time we had any kind of an update to this building was, I have no idea when, sometime in the 80s maybe. But we have put out and got an idea of what it would cost to update our building to bring it up to, I think, a more modern, contemporary look, and it would make it not look so dated. We've been working with Dave Zimmerman, Zimmerman Metal, and he also has Zimmerman Construction. So he's been in and has given us an idea on how we can create a wall on top of a wall, I guess it's called a parapet. Is that what it's called? Thank you, parapet. That would then conceal all the mechanicals. We need a new roof anyway, so that's a cost that we're gonna have to incur. We have leaks from here to there, so we need to, we've already spoken with True Coat about coming in and doing something there. And with that being said, we thought, okay, well, let's try to address a facelift for the building as well. So they would go up with a proposed 5-foot parapet, making the building appear to be almost as tall as the garage. So we're not the shortest, squattiest building in the downtown corridor. They would then add angled walls on the roof side of that to give it the stability it needs so it doesn't blow off and land in the street. And then they would change the direction of the drainage, the roof drainage, to go to the north as opposed to the south where it dumps out onto Arthur Street.
So are we talking, because I've seen a lot of this done, so they put that wall up there, then they're gonna slope the,
Yep.
with a metal,
At some
roof, and then put,
engineering point where it makes the most sense to come back and give it the most structural
right, and then if you,
They're gonna come back, create more slope up there, and then they'll change the entire slope. Then you won't be able to see any mechanicals.
right, it'll all be
up there.
enclosed.
Everything will be, yes.
Yes,
It'll have a
it'll
wall
look
around
beautiful.
it. And that should take care of all of our leaks. We still have an ongoing leak here. They will address that. We've got leaks over, it just seems to be leaking over Lisa's desk. No idea why, but it rains on Lisa's desk.
Get rid of our flat roof,
Correct.
and that's what we want to get rid of.
Yeah, and like I said, it'll direct all the, and I don't know if you've seen it, but when we have a deluge, just significant downpour, it's shooting out through the curb like, almost like a fire hose. It's just, the water's shooting up this high. So they're gonna divert that to the north. We're planning on connecting to this lateral sewer line that goes to the sewer main that runs through the alley. So we can actually get a sink, or a kitchenette area in this conference room area, because there's no running water or anything like that. We could divert the water so we could go down into the alley.
Do you have a cost estimate of that, or?
Around 40, mid-40s to do that, $45,000 would be Zimmerman, 44, 45 would be Zimmerman's. Oh, and there would be new signage for both exposures on Elkhart and Waterford in the mid-40s. And then True Coat probably will come in somewhere around $4,000 to $5,000 for the roof. So around the $50,000 mark. We're hoping to get it under $50,000.
And we're holding off on the parking lot, right, until that's all.
And until that, we figure out what we're doing with that, and that water line and the sewer. Yeah.
I'm definitely interested in seeing how that all comes out.
With the,
With the roof and.
oh yeah,
design.
and they are working on, putting together a drawing. an engineering drawing.
Okay.
That's all I have. Any questions about any of that? By the way, I'm seeing Judy. I'm still in wait mode with Premier Signs. We've given them the okay to move forward with the Southwood sign, and they, I guess I can say this here, seem to be taking their sweet time getting the ball rolling. But we should have some movement.
I reached out to Rob today just to check on it because I have that grant to celebrate the dedication.
When,
But I can't dedicate it until I know what it's gonna be.
until it's actually there
Yeah.
to dedicate. Yeah, okay. So,
I have a little mark in my checkbook that says there's $500 in here that belongs to the town. If I die, kids, make sure that it's returned.
well, no.
Because other people told me,
Well,
be
I'm
sure to
hoping
cash
that
the
doesn't
check
happen.
before they change their mind.
I'm dying to attend the party.
I know, you have to be in the neighborhood.
So anyway, what I want to do is I'll connect with you tomorrow.
You know, just get it, I
But they're
can't,
supposed
I'm
to,
not gonna do anything until it's in place.
well, they're supposed to connect Jan Stone and.
We're hoping there's not
supposed to
snow.
connect.
Yeah, no kidding.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Alright.
That's what it needs.
Carl, anything?
I do not have anything.
Annette?
No.
Randall?
Nope.
Phil?
No.
So you guys all know Rob and I have an invite on the 14th. Pretty much every legislative official in the northern half of Indiana is going to have a meeting with the one person in the state of Indiana who can actually comprehend and understand SB 1.
Where's that?
You don't
I was gonna say, as far as I know, they haven't figured it out.
There's one person.
I'm just hoping for some clarity.
I've had some meetings already about it. Several more coming after this sit down with, I mean, I think even the Lieutenant Governor's probably gonna be in this meeting with us. It's a big ball of mess right now, so. More to that when I know more. There will be some things definitely changing on some things, a lot more county involvement. Yeah, all right, everybody well?
Yeah. I'll be right back.
I wonder if she-